Hey everybody, welcome to our Kratom Addiction and Recovery Daily Devotional series. So today we're in chapter 3 of Ecclesiastes and we're in verse 7. And that is a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to keep silent and a time to speak. So for a lot of us, our addictions tear our lives apart. Our relationships, our finances, our health, our hopes, and our dreams. Kratom addiction is something that a lot of us didn't ever expect to find ourselves in. A lot of us ended up on kratom because we thought it was harmless. A lot of us found a lot of hope in it at first when it cured different ailments, different pain, different sadnesses. And so when we get into our addiction and we start to see how kratom affects our lives in a negative way, it can be a very hard season of our lives. And I've talked about this past week, and as we're in Ecclesiastes, what these seasons are in our lives and ways that we can learn and grow from them. So today, as we talk about that there is a time to tear and there is a time to mend, we can reflect on how our kratom addiction did tear apart our lives in different ways, did tear apart our relationships and our health and our finances in different ways. And some of us are in our addictions right now. Some of us have just quit. Some of us are in the recovery process after quitting. So we're all in different places, but we all have the common grounds that we have experienced kratom addiction. So in this season, the season of that there is a time to tear, I think it's a good opportunity for us to reflect on the different things that kratom has done to our lives that make it unmanageable. So for me, in the worst of my addiction, I had to dose every 3 to 4 hours at the very most. And I couldn't sleep longer than 3 to 4 hours at a time because I'd wake up in withdrawals. It took center stage in everything, in front of everything in my life, and I've talked about this before. And so that really caused a lot of damage in my relationships, in my professional life, in my creative life. And so it's a good thing sometimes to think about and reflect on what kratom did do in our lives or is doing in our lives. Because the unfortunate thing about kratom is that it's a lot of its risks and its dangers are swept underneath the rug. I understand that it's good for some people and there are benefits for some people, and I understand why the advocates are very firm in their stance about wanting to communicate that. But in that, a lot of its risks and dangers are not known. So a lot of us end up on kratom thinking that it's harmless and it's safe. And so it's really good to look at things clearly, to look at things honestly, and to admit to ourselves that our addictions are not sustainable. And so I think that when we're in a season of our lives being torn apart by our addiction, or we're in the season afterwards, that it's a good thing to be honest with ourselves and to look at the things that kratom has done to our lives. So in this season, there can be a great opportunity for learning and growing from it. Even if you're in active addiction right now, getting honest with ourselves is integral to getting off of any substance and getting out of any addiction. And so in the season of our lives being torn apart, it's a really good thing to be honest. And that was something that my faith and my relationship with God really helped me with. That, I pray daily for God to shine his light of truth into my life and reveal to me what I need to know to learn and grow and become a better person. And it's easy to lie to ourselves and to lie to others when we're in addiction, because for a lot of us, for a good amount of time, kratom does work for us. And so as things progress and they become, out of control, and our lives do start to tear apart in different ways, it's easy to try to convince ourselves that things are okay and that it is sustainable and that it is manageable, continuing to take kratom. So being honest with ourselves and asking God to help us with that can be something that we can do during this season. And so following the season of that there's a time to tear, there is the season of mending. And when we quit kratom, and when we're in the process even leading up to quitting kratom, and then in the time afterwards when we're in recovery, that's the season of mending our lives, mending our relationships, mending our health. And I say frequently because I want to remind everybody that I often thought that I had done permanent damage to my body and my mind and my life because of my kratom addiction, but I didn't. And mostly everything that was affected from my addiction, I've been able to restore and I've been able to mend. And the things that still need some more time, I have hope and faith, and I know that they will be mended. So there is this season of mending. And in this season, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. It's not easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. But it's a time of great growth. And as we move forward and we work on restoring and mending our lives and our health and our relationship and our hopes and our dreams, it's amazing what's to come. Does it happen instantaneously and overnight? No, it doesn't. It takes time. It takes perseverance. It takes faith. It takes strength. The strength that we don't have ourselves, God will give to us. So it takes a lot to mend and to restore our lives back to where they need to be after our addiction. But it is 100% possible. And it does say that all things are possible with Christ who strengthens us. So like I just said, when we can't do it ourselves, that's the beautiful thing. One of the beautiful things about faith is that it gives us the strength to do the things that we can't do. So with this season of mending, there's great things that can come from it. It goes on to say a time to keep silent and a time to speak. When I was in my addiction, I was very isolated. I separated myself from pretty much everything and everyone, and I wasn't comfortable being social. I wasn't comfortable talking to anybody really, and so that was a time of silence for me. I kept my addiction completely to myself because I didn't know anybody else who was in kratom addiction at the time. I knew people who were taking kratom, but none of them admitted that it was ever a problem. So I was silent about my addiction. I was in my addiction for a total of 3 years, and that was three long years of silence. And I will be kratom free for 3 years in about a month and a half. And so it's taken me a good solid, when did I start this channel? I started talking about kratom on this channel only a few months ago. And so I was silent for all of that time, and there was really nobody that I could relate to. I found a subreddit for other people quitting kratom, and I didn't even start to share on there for a really long time. So there are seasons of silence in our lives. Outside of our addiction, this can, come into play in many aspects of our lives. That there are times where we are silent about things. There are times where it is wise to be silent about things, and it's wise for us to hold our tongue and to, not speak about things when it's out of turn, or it isn't the right timing, or when it comes down to like needless talk, like gossiping and slander and those kind of things. That there is a time when we should be silent, and it's wise to be silent. But there's also a time when there's either injustice or things that are going on in our lives that aren't fair, where it's wise for us to be silent for a season. But then, as it goes on to say, there is a time to speak. And for me and my addiction, I was silent for a good solid 5 years about what I had been through and what I had learned about kratom and its risks and its dangers and what I had experienced in my addiction. But then there was the season to speak. And my season to speak came a few months ago when I started to share on this channel and I started to open up about what I had been through, what I had learned, and it's been such a joy for me, and I'm so grateful to be able to share with you all and to support you all as you go through your seasons of addiction and recovery, and of tearing apart and mending, and of silence, and of finding your voice again. So if you're in your season of silence, know that there will be a time to speak. And a lot of times it's meant to be this way. Most everything, I believe, happens for a reason, and I believe that God intends for us to have these seasons in our lives because we are meant to learn and grow from each one of them. So there will be a season for you to find your voice again. And my hope for all of us is that when we go through this experience, when we go through our addiction and recovery process, that we can then get to a point where we can help others and we can use our experience and we can use our voice and our season to speak to help others. It doesn't have to be having a YouTube channel. It doesn't have to be anything like that. It can be something as simple as just, helping out another addict in some sort of way when you're at that point. It's not wise to do it before you're ready. We have to go through the season of recovery to get to the point where we're able to help others because we can't pour from an empty cup. But it's so rewarding, and it's so awesome to be able to use what we've been through to help others. And using our voice, using our story, using our testimony in that way is so powerful. So if you're in your season of your life being torn apart, or you're in your season of mending, or you're in your season of silence, or you're in your season of speaking, please know that no season lasts forever. No matter how hard it is, no matter how good it is, remember that it doesn't last forever. So with that, I encourage you to share with us where you're at in the comments section. I didn't think I was going to be able to make this video today. I told you yesterday that I wasn't going to be able to post, but I was able to have a moment to sit down and do this. So share with us where you're at. Know that I love you. Know that I care about you. Know that you can contact me. My email is in the link in my channel bio, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video for our devotional. All right, see you then. Bye.